announcing today a major show of military force in the region.
In the heart of the Persian Gulf, a military standoff unfolds that could reshape the balance of power in the region. Tensions between the United States and Iran have reached a boiling point, with an unprecedented escalation that threatens to ignite a much larger conflict. Imagine this: a U.S. naval patrol ship, the USS Tempest, comes under attack by Iranian forces. 8 fast attack boats, maneuvering in a way that seems almost too coordinated to be spontaneous, surround the ship, attempting to board it. The situation is tense. One wrong move could trigger a full-scale military engagement. The USS Tempest, armed with the latest in American naval technology, is caught in a deadly game of cat and mouse. But here's the twist. The stakes are much higher than a simple skirmish. The Tempest isn't just a vessel on a routine patrol. It's carrying a secretive, high-value cargo that could tip the scales in an already volatile region. The confrontation isn't just a matter of national pride. It's about control over a vital strategic area, the Persian Gulf, which serves as the lifeblood of global oil trade and military influence. As Iranian forces close in, U.S. commanders have just moments to decide how to respond. A measured reaction could de-escalate the situation. But will it? Or will this be the moment that changes everything? The clock ticks down. The captain of the USS Tempest sends out a distress signal, signaling an impending catastrophe. And in less than an hour, the response is swift and decisive. In the following minutes, American military forces move into action at an astonishing speed. Within 52 minutes, the world witnesses a dramatic series of events that will reverberate across global politics. 43 Iranian vessels are destroyed. U.S. air power is mobilized. The message is clear. Any attempt to threaten American forces will be met with overwhelming force. But that's not the end of the story. The response to this attack raises bigger questions. Was this a calculated move by Iran, or an act of desperation? How did the U.S. respond so swiftly? And what does it mean for future engagements in the Persian Gulf? In this high-stakes showdown, both sides make moves that could either bring them closer to war or force them to reconsider their strategies. The consequences of this incident go far beyond the immediate clash, touching on issues of military strategy, global security, and the balance of power in the Middle East. Stay tuned as we break down the events leading up to this confrontation, the strategic military responses that followed, and what this could mean for the future of U.S.-Iran relations. This isn't just another naval skirmish. It's a turning point in a complex geopolitical game, and the world is watching closely. The Persian Gulf, a region historically marked by tension and strategic importance, has long been a flashpoint for global conflict. A vital artery for international trade and military maneuvering, it serves as the lifeblood of the world's oil supply, with nearly a third of the planet's crude oil passing through its waters. For decades, it has been a theater of military operations, where global powers converge and rivalries, particularly between the United States and Iran, have shaped the region's geopolitics. But what many people don't realize is just how high the stakes are in this volatile area. It's not just about oil, it's about influence, power, and control. Over the years, the U.S. Navy has maintained a significant presence in the Persian Gulf, ensuring freedom of navigation and safeguarding the region from hostile forces. The U.S. military's role has become increasingly important, with American ships regularly patrolling the waters to uphold international maritime law. For the U.S., securing this region is a matter of both strategic necessity and global stability. For Iran, however, the Gulf represents something much different: a battleground for asserting dominance in the region. While the United States has bolstered its naval presence, Iran has also been strengthening its forces, with both sides engaging in increasingly aggressive maneuvers to assert their authority. As tensions rise, the Persian Gulf becomes a pressure cooker, with every action carrying the risk of escalation. American ships often encounter Iranian naval forces as they patrol these waters, sometimes encountering provocations, such as close-range maneuvers or warnings to leave the area. These confrontations have become somewhat routine, but each one holds the potential to spiral into something far more dangerous. The question isn't whether a confrontation will happen. It's when and how far both sides are willing to push. In the case of the USS Tempest, a seemingly routine naval operation turned into a high-stakes confrontation. The Tempest was deployed to escort a cargo ship carrying highly classified American intelligence equipment, a piece of technology so sensitive that its destruction could jeopardize U.S. security efforts in the region for years. Iran, knowing the strategic importance of this mission, saw an opportunity to make a bold move. While it had often provoked U.S. ships before, this time the situation was different. Iranian forces seemed more prepared, more aggressive, and more determined to seize control of the situation. The Tempest, a relatively small and unassuming vessel, was faced with a much larger force. 8 Iranian fast attack boats, known for their speed and maneuverability, rapidly closed in on the ship. The Iranian forces, equipped with advanced radar systems and highly trained crews, were on a mission to assert control over what they considered their territorial waters. The clash between the two forces wasn't just about military might. It was about maintaining dominance over a critical choke point in global trade. The Persian Gulf holds a deep strategic significance that goes beyond the immediate clash of military forces. It is a region that has seen military conflicts for centuries, from naval engagements between empires to modern-day disputes over oil reserves. The United States and Iran both understand that a shift in control over this region could have far-reaching consequences. For the U.S., the Persian Gulf represents not only access to key energy markets, but also a crucial platform for projecting military power in the broader Middle East and beyond. For Iran, it's a matter of national pride and survival. Controlling the Gulf means controlling the flow of oil, and more importantly, asserting itself as a dominant regional player, capable of challenging U.S. hegemony. In the moments leading up to the confrontation with the Tempest, both sides seemed to be testing each other. The Iranian fast attack boats circled the Tempest, engaging in dangerous maneuvers, trying to intimidate the crew. For a brief moment, it seemed as though both sides were preparing for a showdown, one that could lead to open conflict. The stakes couldn't have been higher, as the presence of the classified cargo aboard the Tempest made it an even more sensitive target. This wasn't just about asserting naval superiority, it was about securing national interests, preserving critical intelligence, and sending a message to both allies and enemies. What many didn't realize was how closely the U.S. Navy had been watching this development. The Tempest was more than just a ship. It was part of a larger, coordinated effort by the U.S. military to ensure that no one, particularly Iran, could disrupt the flow of critical goods and intelligence in the region. The presence of the U.S. Navy in the Persian Gulf wasn't just symbolic. It was a constant reminder to Iran that any aggression would be met with swift and overwhelming force. And as events would unfold, the response from the U.S. military would prove just how serious they were about maintaining control over this vital region. The incident involving the USS Tempest began as a routine patrol mission in the volatile waters of the Persian Gulf, but it quickly escalated into a high-stakes military confrontation. The Tempest, a fast-response U.S. Navy vessel, was tasked with protecting a U.S. cargo ship carrying critical intelligence equipment, some of which contained cutting-edge surveillance technology designed to monitor Iranian military movements. The cargo was so sensitive that its loss would have dealt a severe blow to U.S. intelligence operations in the region, potentially tipping the balance of power in favor of Iran. The Tempest's mission was clear: ensure that the cargo reached its destination safely, no matter the cost. However, what seemed like a straightforward naval escort quickly turned into a dangerous game of cat and mouse. As the Tempest sailed through the narrow waters of the Gulf, it became clear that Iranian forces were not about to let this mission pass unnoticed. 8 Iranian fast attack boats, each bristling with heavy weapons and missile launchers, began shadowing the Tempest from a distance. The boats were equipped with state-of-the-art radar systems, allowing them to track the Tempest's every move. These vessels were notorious for their speed and maneuverability, designed specifically for rapid strikes against larger, slower targets like U.S. Navy ships. At first, the Tempest maintained its course, radioing the Iranian boats with standard warnings. It was protocol, an attempt to avoid unnecessary confrontation. The Iranian boats, however, ignored the warnings and continued their aggressive maneuvers, gradually closing the distance. Their tactics were deliberate. Split into two groups, the boats began circling the Tempest, positioning themselves on either side of the U.S. vessel. The intent was clear. They were preparing to board the ship. Such an action was not only illegal under international law, but also incredibly risky. Boarding a foreign military vessel in open waters was an act of war, and the U.S. Navy was under no obligation to tolerate it. For the crew of the Tempest, this was a moment of intense pressure. As the Iranian boats closed in, the captain of the Tempest made a quick decision. Rather than back down, they would hold their position and respond with force if necessary. The crew had been trained for situations like this, and they knew that a retreat would only invite further aggression. But they also understood that the presence of the cargo, containing sensitive technology, made the stakes even higher. Any loss or damage to the equipment could not only harm national security, but could also signal weakness, encouraging further acts of provocation. In response to the growing threat, the captain of the Tempest sent a distress signal, a coded message that would alert nearby U.S. forces to the situation. Within minutes, 2 U.S. Navy destroyers, stationed nearby as part of a larger strategic presence in the Gulf, began to change course. The Tempest was not alone in this situation. Reinforcements were already en route. At the same time, a fleet of U.S. military helicopters took off from a nearby base, their rotors cutting through the air as they scrambled to provide air support if the situation continued to escalate. As the Iranian boats moved closer, the captain of the Tempest ordered the crew to prepare for a potential confrontation. The Tempest's weapons systems were activated, and its crew began to man battle stations. The tension in the air was palpable. Iranian forces, perhaps overestimating their ability to intimidate, continued their approach, drawing dangerously close to the Tempest. The distance between the two forces shrank rapidly, and at this point, it was only a matter of moments before one side would make a move. The Tempest fired a warning shot, an unmistakable sign that they were prepared to defend themselves if the Iranian boats did not turn away. The shot rang out over the water, a single burst of warning that echoed through the Gulf. The Iranian boats hesitated for a split second, but then, in an astonishing act of defiance, one of them opened fire. The first shot was a clear sign that the situation was about to spiral out of control. The Tempest's crew responded immediately. In an extraordinary display of precision and speed, the U.S. Navy unleashed a series of tactical strikes, using both naval artillery and air support to neutralize the Iranian boats. Within minutes, the once aggressive Iranian fleet was disabled or destroyed. The Tempest, though rocked by the tension of the engagement, remained intact, its mission still very much alive. The entire encounter unfolded in less than an hour, but it would go down in history as a pivotal moment in the ongoing tensions between the U.S. and Iran. The attempt to board a U.S. Navy vessel in international waters, an act that would have been an unprecedented violation of international law, had been thwarted. For the Iranian forces, it was a stinging defeat, one that would send a clear message about the U.S. Navy's commitment to protecting its interests and the lives of its crew. For the U.S., it was a moment of triumph, but also a reminder of the thin line they walked in the Persian Gulf, a region where every move could be the spark that ignites a larger conflict. As the situation in the Persian Gulf intensified, the immediate response from the United States was swift, precise, and coordinated. Within minutes of the Iranian attack on the USS Tempest, the U.S. military mobilized its resources, sending a clear message that any act of aggression against American forces would not be tolerated. The Tempest, despite its relatively small size, was just one piece of a much larger strategic plan, and the response from the U.S. military demonstrated the depth of coordination and power that could be unleashed in such a situation. This wasn't just about defending a single ship. It was about maintaining control over a crucial geopolitical region and ensuring that the message was loud and clear to Iran and to the world. The U.S. Navy immediately began deploying backup forces from the nearby destroyers. These ships, designed for rapid combat and equipped with advanced missile systems, quickly altered their course to head toward the Tempest. In just a few minutes, the naval reinforcements arrived on the scene, their heavy weapons primed and ready for action. The Iranian boats, once confident in their superiority, now found themselves surrounded by a much stronger force. The U.S. military's superior firepower, precision targeting systems, and extensive experience in high-stakes naval confrontations left little room for error. At the same time, U.S. military aircraft, predominantly AH-64 Apache helicopters, launched from a nearby base, their engines roaring as they flew toward the scene of the conflict. These helicopters, renowned for their devastating accuracy and heavy firepower, were designed to provide air support during naval engagements, and they would prove instrumental in neutralizing the Iranian threat. As the helicopters approached, they began performing a series of low-altitude flyovers, their intimidating presence forcing the Iranian boats to scatter in an attempt to evade the incoming strikes. The message was clear. If the Iranians intended to continue this aggression, they would face overwhelming force, both from the sea and from the air. Meanwhile, back on the USS Tempest, the crew was operating with incredible precision. The ship's combat systems, activated moments before the initial confrontation, were now fully engaged. The crew, well trained for situations like this, remained calm under pressure, trusting their training and the superiority of their equipment. The Tempest, equipped with advanced radar and missile defense systems, began taking advantage of its maneuverability, weaving between the Iranian boats and deploying countermeasures. The U.S. Navy had perfected the art of naval warfare in the region, and the Tempest's crew knew that every second counted. As the Iranian boats continued their attempt to board the USS Tempest, the situation escalated further. Despite the warnings, the Iranians were relentless. Their boats, now dangerously close to the Tempest, opened fire once again. The first round of gunfire missed its target, but the second strike hit a nearby deck, damaging the ship's outer hull. The damage was minimal, but the message from Iran was unmistakable. They were not backing down. The tension was palpable, and the crew knew that their next actions would determine the outcome of the encounter. In response to the continued provocation, the USS Tempest fired back. The ship's weapon systems locked onto the Iranian boats, and a series of targeted strikes were launched. The missiles, equipped with advanced guidance systems, flew through the air with pinpoint accuracy, obliterating 2 of the Iranian boats on impact. The remaining boats scattered in an attempt to evade, but the U.S. Navy was relentless. More missiles were launched, taking out another boat within minutes. By this point, the Iranian forces realized that their window for success had closed. They were outmatched, outgunned, and quickly running out of options. But the U.S. military wasn't finished yet. In addition to the naval and air support, the Pentagon authorized a series of pinpoint strikes on Iranian military installations along the coastline. These strikes were designed not only to neutralize the immediate threat, but also to send a broader message to Iran about the consequences of further aggression. The first target? A key naval base that had been used to launch the attack on the Tempest. The base, located on the Iranian coastline, housed several key fast attack vessels and missile systems. Within moments, the U.S. launched a series of high-precision airstrikes, reducing the base to rubble. The second target was a command center responsible for coordinating Iranian naval operations in the Gulf. The U.S. military had long been aware of the critical role this facility played in Iran's military strategy, and its destruction would significantly hinder Iran's ability to mount further coordinated attacks. A series of precision strikes from US B-2 stealth bombers took out the facility in a matter of minutes, sending a clear signal that the U.S. was prepared to do whatever it took to secure the region. Meanwhile, the Iranian forces, caught off guard by the intensity of the U.S. response, scrambled to reassess their position. The destruction of their naval assets, along with the loss of key infrastructure, was a blow that they hadn't anticipated. But the true consequences of this engagement went beyond the immediate military losses. The U.S. military had successfully reasserted its dominance in the Persian Gulf, and Iran was left with a stark choice: continue down the path of aggression, or retreat and reconsider its strategy. The strategic importance of the Persian Gulf cannot be overstated. This narrow stretch of water, home to some of the world's most critical shipping lanes, has long been a point of contention between global powers. For the U.S., maintaining a presence in the region is about more than just securing oil shipments. It's about projecting power, maintaining influence over key allies, and ensuring that no single nation can dominate the region. For Iran, the Gulf represents a crucial opportunity to challenge the U.S. and assert its dominance in the Middle East. The confrontation between the USS Tempest and Iranian forces was just the latest chapter in this ongoing struggle for control. As the dust settled, the broader implications of the U.S. response became clear. The precision strikes on Iranian naval assets and infrastructure had not only weakened Iran's military position in the Gulf, but also reinforced the message that any attack on U.S. forces would result in severe consequences. The Pentagon, in a carefully worded statement, emphasized that while the U.S. did not seek further escalation, it was prepared to act decisively to protect its interests. The military's ability to respond so quickly and effectively sent a message to Iran and other regional powers that the United States would not hesitate to use its military might to protect its interests. But despite the U.S. military's overwhelming response, the situation in the Gulf remained tense. Iran's leadership, while reeling from the loss of key assets, still had a powerful military presence in the region. The future of U.S.-Iran relations was uncertain, with both sides carefully watching each other's moves. The Persian Gulf, a region that had seen countless skirmishes over the years, was once again the focal point of global attention. While the immediate conflict had been resolved, the larger struggle for control over this vital region was far from over. As the U.S. military continued to assert its presence, Iran would undoubtedly seek ways to retaliate and challenge American dominance. The stage was set for a continued and unpredictable conflict in one of the world's most volatile regions.